Okay, so my name is Ryan, and this is Mac. Our participant for today is,
I'm Wafa Magawi.
and he agreed to help us out with our interview, and yeah, we can just begin.
Yeah. So, like I was saying earlier, basically we're conducting an interview to try to assess your not only your desire to potentially start an exercise program, but also your current level of exercise, physical activity, any goals that you have, any aspirations you have around that. And this is all through the lens of sort of getting you to maybe where you are today to a place where you are like, oh, I might be ready to actually implement some of these suggestions or changes.
Okay.
So the first thing I'll ask is basically, what is your history with physical activity or exercise? Have you played sports before? Do you currently play any sports? Just feel free to answer that however you want.
It's a good question. I did play sports, and now anytime I play sports, I ache.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I try not to. But in all seriousness, I really need to do something.
Yeah.
You know, I used to, if you look at my stomach, I need to shrink that a little bit. So I know that exercise is important. I also, before 2008, I fell off a tree, and that kind of hindered a lot of my, physical exercise and all that.
Yeah.
I'm just grateful that what I do now is landscaping, and I do grounds maintenance at Westminster.
Yeah.
So it makes me, it's not excessive exercise, but it gets me walking around and doing physical activity.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to have some kind of, so I was just interested in seeing what you have, what you have outlined, but I do want to be healthy.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Absolutely.
But as far as getting there, I'm open, I want to see what I can do. I think a lot of that is just having something that works for me.
Yeah. I think, well, first of all, already doing, like, having a job that puts you outside and just makes you sort of inherently active, like, that is honestly an amazing start.
Yeah.
Like, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that most people's lives consist of working at a desk in front of a computer, or even just like sitting a lot. And like people who have jobs, whether it's like yours, where you're like landscaping, you're moving rocks, you're raking, you're moving things around like that outside too. That's another big part of it. It's completely different from sitting in a cubicle or like even just sitting at a desk. So that's a huge head start, honestly.
And I think one of the biggest things that people don't understand is, we're just trying to figure out how we can get everybody just moving. We don't want people to think we gotta go out there, go to the gym, or go to a specific location where we have to lift weights or run on the treadmill. We just want everybody to start moving, because that's what physical activity is, just being, physically active, whether it be walking down the street or moving while you're at work, or maybe if you have a desk job, just trying to get you to pause and stand up once in a while. So it's just really good to hear that your job already has you moving around a lot.
Oh yeah, like part of our routine is in the morning when we get there, we kind of divide up the school and start walking and pick up garbage and just anything that any garbage. So it makes us walk every day.
Yeah.
But I feel like I can do better, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to both of you. As far as other activities in addition to what I'm doing.
Totally. Yeah. No, and I think just like lastly, it's like just like you said, you even said it. You're like, I want to just be doing something.
Yeah.
And I think again, that's another misconception is like when people think about exercise, it's like, oh well, I need to like go for these runs every week, or like I need to go to the gym and like kill myself, or I need to go like find a new sport to play, or like all these sort of perceptions you have, when in reality, like it really, number one, it has to fit your schedule, and it has to be something that you can do want to do and will basically be consistent with. And then it also, like, it doesn't have to be nearly as overwhelming or intense as a lot of
Yeah.
people expect. So yeah. You mentioned falling off the tree. Maybe tell me a little bit about what that affected. If it was like your entire body, that's one way, or if it was like, oh, like I fell and I rolled, like I broke my ankle or broke my arm or something like that. And then along those same lines, are there any other health issues that might prevent you from exercising in any sort of fashion or way?
So I fell in 2008, and it was about 30 feet high.
Oh, wow.
I was cutting a tree, and I fell on my side, which is, I lucked out because the way I fell, but I broke my wrist,
Okay.
broke my pelvis, you know. Now, I was supposed to do like a hip replacement,
Okay.
because I have a bone-to-bone already. But my wife and I have she actually has a work trip next month, and one of the things that the doctor was telling me, that there is a risk that it might get infected, it might, more. He said the risk is really small, but we just didn't want to take that. I wanted to make sure my wife gets on her trip. So I have that plan for when we come back at the end of August or April. So it'll probably be May. I will have to do a hip surgery, a replacement, just because it's bone to bone and that hurts.
Yeah.
So that limits me from doing exercise too. But I think once I can get that, I can do a little bit more, whether it's the gym or more at home or.
No.
Yeah.
Well, before your fall, do you feel like your level of physical activity has either decreased, increased, or kind of stayed the same? From
I
before?
think when I fell, I definitely didn't want to get off the ground much, but I wouldn't say it decreased. I just felt like it limited me from, I used to do a lot of running, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
I ran a lot, so anywhere we would go and run at least 3-4 miles,
Oh, dang, that's good.
So, but then when you're getting old, unfortunately, the knees start hurting,
Yeah.
So you gotta adjust it. So I love running, and I couldn't do the biking and stuff because
Yeah.
the doctor recommended switching to that. But running, it's hard on especially on that cement or.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like I still have a desire to try to do more exercising.
Yeah.
So it's hopefully
Yeah.
if it fits my schedule, because I think that's the biggest thing is I'm up hella early, go to
Yeah.
work. By the time I also do landscaping on my own, and
Oh,
cement work.
okay.
So
Cool.
like during this time after work, I'm doing estimate, and
Yeah.
I just feel like there's not much time to
Yeah,
squeeze that
Yeah.
exercising.
That's
in.
tough.
it's a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
What do you what does your schedule look like? Like if you were to, you said you're up pretty early. What does like a week typically look like for you? Do you work on weekends? Do you...
So, yeah, actually, my whole schedule is always packed. But like, I'll give you, like today, this morning,
Yeah.
we have an Airbnb, and I had some guests, and I do the cleaning.
Okay, cool.
So I had some guests there yesterday, so I had to flip it. So I went and did the wash yesterday after work. Slept for about 3-4 hours. I woke up at 3, went to the Airbnb, did some cleaning, making the bed. So at 3 o'clock, I'm up, and I have a little come follow me with my church that we run from like 5 to 7.
Yeah.
So, and then my work starts at 7 to 3:30, I come here.
Okay.
So it's and then right now, from now till it's dark, I have some work lined up to go do,
Cool.
with my landscaping. So I have one guy that I work with, so he's out there working.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like my daily routine.
Yeah.
But on the weekend, like last weekend, I had to go to Oakland for someone's homecoming.
Yep.
So I went there Friday, Saturday, came back Sunday. So it's jam packed.
Yeah.
But I like it because it keeps me moving, right?
It keeps,
But
it
also,
keeps you busy and moving.
But
yeah.
I also need something that kind of help maintain that on the exercising and
Sure.
and things like that. So.
Sure. Yeah.
for like your family situation, we know that we talked about your schedule and kind of seeing how your weekly goals or the weekly things that you do. Do you feel like there's things that your family can help out around the house, or just kind of lighten the load, or
Actually, this my wife, my in-laws, they want to help, but I'm just like, I don't know. I like it done how I want it, like
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
guests,
sure.
Like we just started this last year. I want to say August or September, but the Airbnb, if you get like one bad review, it's bad.
Oh, it's real
So
bad.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
I have like 10 reviews, they're all 5, and that's why it's hard for me to get somebody to come and do it. Even like
Yeah.
hiring other to.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's, if you're talking about movement, I'm moving with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on my knees, I'm cleaning.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's really refreshing to hear is just because it seems like you have your schedule and it's just constantly motivating you to, it's not hard for you to get up in the morning,
Oh no.
and then you're just from 3 all the way to late at night.
Yeah.
It's constantly movement. So
But that's like the 3 o'clock is if I don't have a day to clean it during the day, or if this guest who comes in at 3 o'clock today, while I'm at work, I can't really be there cleaning,
Yeah.
and that's why my schedule's like that. But
Sure.
I think eventually I'd like to maybe turn it over to somebody that can clean it. But right now, I just want to build up that review.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. But yeah.
Yeah. Was there you mentioned how you used to run and you really enjoyed that. And then you said that your doctor recommended that you bike, but you didn't want to do that for a specific reason. What was that?
I don't like sitting there.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't run the treadmill either. I ran the streets.
Yeah.
So I like the scenery. That's really the difference there.
Yeah.
It's just so if I was maybe biking around, I'd like that. But,
You would, you think? Okay, cool. Yeah, that's something for us to keep in mind for sure.
Yeah.
It's actually also encouraging to hear that you prefer to be out. It sounds like you prefer to be
Yeah.
outside. I
Oh,
mean,
most definitely.
your job's outside. You
Yeah.
ran outside. That, like I said before, is like that's a really encouraging thing because there's a lot. I'm not saying that we wouldn't necessarily recommend that you use a gym as part of whatever you do, but I think having that like outdoors as a core element to whatever physical activity you do is
I
really
think
good.
and
I
then
prefer that better.
and then because did your doctor only recommend? Did he not go to? Oh, maybe you can just go outside and go for a walk. Was it just either running and just straight to
Oh
cycling?
no, I think it was more of just getting activity. Whether it's biking. Obviously, I couldn't run. Walking was, hiking. I just don't see myself hiking a lot like the mountain,
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, I think he suggested just being active and being. He recommended the little heartbeat, taking your heart, and whether it's walking or biking or all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any problems with your heart?
No.
You haven't. Okay, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can, if people have had stuff with their heart happen, it can be a little frightening. As it would probably be frightening if you after breaking your wrist, someone was like, "Well, you need to go lift weights," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Well."
And I think that's another reason is I don't lift weights because this is weaker than this,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it does hurt a little bit too as different movement.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Have you? Okay. No, that's all really good information.
Yeah.
Right now, so I'm gonna kind of give you a scale here from 1 to 10. We've sort of briefly talked about how it sounds like you want more, you want to do more.
Yeah.
But if you were to give me a rating between 1 and 10 as far as how ready you are to make changes to do more, so for example, a 1 is the lowest. So a 1 would be like, I don't really care, I don't want to, those sorts of things. A 10 would be like, I want to do this right now. And I've already maybe taken some steps to, in that direction. And then everything in between. So if you were to tell me your rating on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say?
I'd probably say 6.
Probably say
Yeah.
6.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're over halfway. That's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I want to.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just being lazy and not finding the time that would fit my schedule to do it, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, we bought like membership to EOS.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we paid for like 2 years and never went.
Oh.
So it's just the scheduling, you know?
Yeah.
So the desire, we want to do it. It's just a matter of getting the right fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, that's a good thing because then now we kind of have a starting point of where we can kind of help him. Where we could just list out everything that you have to do throughout the week and suggest times where it might be a good time for you to go, so you don't have to think about it so much. Whether do a little bit of physical activity here, a little bit there. That might be a good thing that we could think about.
Yeah. Absolutely.
To help out with your journey.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you're that sort of middle area, like the 4 through 6, is a
Yeah.
really important section of that spectrum, just because you're like on the you're on the what I would call the good end of that, right?
Yeah,
The 6, which is
sure.
like you're
Yeah.
over that halfway point of like because the 4 through 5 is sort of like
Not sure yet.
it can go either way,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
it's a lot easier to I think that it can be easier for people if they're at like a 5 or even a 4. You're closer to 3, 2, and 1
Yeah.
than you are to 7, 8, 9. You know what I mean?
that's
So,
true, yeah.
but yes, no, that's really good, and it's clear that you're. I wouldn't even say like I wouldn't even say you're being lazy. You're very motivated. I mean, you're very clearly
Yeah.
very motivated
Yeah.
to do this. You're just like how
But I
am
feel
supposed to
like
fit in
when
my
I do
schedule?
find a little bit of time that I could,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
That's what I meant, It's,
Yeah.
it's like just finding that motivation to do it
Yeah.
right then and there and get up, go,
Sure.
When it's easy, it's like, oh man, this little sleep, this power nap feels pretty good.
Yeah. Speaking of sleep, how many hours a night do you think you sleep usually?
If I can get 5, I'm good. Yeah.
That's a good amount for you.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But I need to I'm trying to get a better sleeping schedule. So I can get at least more, the 8 or the 7.
Oh,
or 8.
okay. So
Yeah.
you would like to get more
Oh, yeah.
if you could.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think you mentioned you get up pretty early? Do you think there is room in your schedule to accommodate maybe even getting an hour more sleep?
Oh yeah,
You think so?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of, cutting it and coming going right to sleep and
Yeah.
rather than winding down and just
Yeah.
actually I don't have a problem. My wife winds down. I just get into bed and I'm out.
You
know?
crash.
Yeah.
You're done.
So
Yeah.
but it's just getting into bed at the right time and getting that rest,
Yeah.
And then with
Sure.
you, with the things that you would do throughout the day, is there things that you could kind of label as more important to do, and then the least important things that you can do that we could start to maybe cut down a little bit with?
I think a lot of that is just my work schedule after working at Westminster. I can make it more efficient. So yeah, there are a lot of things that I can cut back. Whether it's just lining up all my estimates to do it on one day or on a separate day I can do the exercise. There are some things that I can move after, but the work at Westminster is pretty much 7 to 3:30. So what I have to work with is either before 7 or after 3:30.
Okay. Cool. So. Yeah, no, that's okay. I think we can maybe at some point we can kind of come back to the sleep thing because we could sort of we probably would want to talk a little bit about sleep, maybe some food stuff, and and then it just because those things sort of they all relate, they all feed off of each other, right? But it's good for me to know that you mentioned sleep because once again, like as this is specifically about exercise, there are always these other like compounding factors,
Yeah.
these variables that actually have quite a bit more might have an effect on your like even motivation to do
Yeah.
exercise. Like you mentioned how you were like, man, like any free time I get, like this power nap feels great. And you're
Yeah.
like, cause you're so like you're tired, like you're tired because you work really hard and a lot, right? So
Yeah.
like even saying like, oh well, if I get 6 hours of sleep, that might allow me to take that 15 minutes that I would usually relax, like chill out or relax for, and I can go for like a little bike ride or I can go for a walk.
And that's what it is
Sort of
with me,
thing.
is if it's programmed or if it's set aside, then I will do everything according to that schedule and push it too. So here's this hour I do this,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So I work really well with that. With,
Okay.
Setting times.
That's good to know.
And because it seems like you're really motivated when it comes to everything that you have to do,
Yeah.
like go to work. You got an Airbnb that you got to take care of,
Yeah.
and then you got a family at home that you got to take care of. When you look at that, is there a different motivation that you feel like you need to have when it comes to being more physically active? Like, because you're already moving a lot.
I need a lot of that motivation now, trying to, put that in my schedule is, now that we have grandkids, I want to have more stamina. I want to have better health, to be able, like I said, when I play basketball, I'm aching. And I don't want to have that,
Yeah.
I don't want to have that in the back of my mind. It's like, man, if I'm going to run with this little grandbaby,
Yeah.
I'm going to be aching. So a lot of that's motivation right there,
Okay.
That's really good motivation.
Yeah.
If there's a reason to want to get healthier, that's a really good
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. I think finding those things that, motivation isn't always going to be there
Yeah.
for people. And I think clearly you're already somebody who's like, no, like if it's on my schedule, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Not everyone's like that.
Yeah.
Some people are like, some people are the people that like get up and they hit the snooze alarm 6 times,
Yeah.
but I think sort of tuning into those things that motivate you, whether it's grandkids, whether it's like, man, I want to feel better. Or, I just want to be able to, when I'm this age, I want to be able to like pick up a 30-pound toddler or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
while they might seem small, I think those things are really important for you to sort of start thinking about, because those can even if they're small, those can be the things where you're like, maybe it's been a harder day, longer day, things have been interrupted, and the time came around for your 15-minute walk or bike ride or whatever it is, and you're like, man, I don't want to do this, and then you're like, well, no, like I want to be able to like be there for my grandkids. I want to be able to like, not have to worry about that when I'm running around with, my kids or whatever. That can be really important to be like, no, I'm going to do what I want to do, or do what I should do. He kind of mentioned we started to talk about some of the reasons you want to change. You kind of said you're around this area of a 6. What do you think would get you from a 6 to like a 7, 8, 9?
And also, what are things that you think we can do to really help you get to that point where you're not a 6 no more, then we can move you to a 7, just making your life easier, because that's what we really want to do, is really set you up for, just set you up in a way where it starts pushing you to 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we start moving the ball and then, makes your life easier in a way.
Like I said, I think if I schedule it with something that's like, I love the running, but something that's gonna be helpful physically and exercising in that. And if it's set aside, maybe not every day, but like every other day or whatever. As a start, that would push me to, that would motivate me to do better, because every bit helps.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you sound like a very organized person.
Yeah.
Would you say you like a routine?
I like routine.
Okay.
I'm also really flexible. It's not like, no, I can't help you because I got to do this.
Yeah.
I'm always.
Yeah.
But I like having that, knowing ahead of time
Yeah.
that if people ask, I say, well, we can do it another time,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, so I think for us, we can kind of think about like, okay, you know, what I'm sort of starting to think about is like, okay, I think that if we were able to sort of get a better idea of what a week for you looked like, as far as, you know, not down to the nitty gritty T, obviously, because like you said, sometimes things change, sometimes you decide to help or clean the Airbnb, you know, those sorts of things. But I think if we can get an idea, a rough idea of what his week looks like, then, you know, we can go in and be like, okay, like where can we fit in,
You know, a little bit of movement.
a little bit of movement time, you know, where can we fit in, or what kind of suggestions can we give to, you know, get to bed a little earlier, maybe, what sort of, you know, that sort of a thing, and that way you know, because then it's not all on you. Like our job is to be like, okay, take in the information, kind of get an idea of your schedule, and then say like, okay, here are the things we'd like you to try, right? And another important thing too is making sure that it's not too much upfront, or it's not too much at the beginning, right? Right, we're not going to be like, well, you go for a bike ride 7 days a week, you know, like it's not going to be like that. So that'll be super important for us to consider as well.
Yeah, we just want to make things kind of really, really easy for you, you know. So we just want to ask how a typical week goes. You know, if you want to get into detail, by all means, get into detail, because it will help us understand how just your daily life goes, and if cutting up the physical activity for the day works better for you instead of doing it all at once, or if doing it all at once is something that you prefer. We just want to know, you know, after we ask, you know, how your typical week goes from Monday all the way to Sunday, you know, what we could really add when we take it back after, you know, just this conversation that we have and when we build things.
Yeah, I think my daily week, it's pretty much wake up at 5. If I don't have to clean the Airbnb, last night was, you know, an exception, because I'll have to do that here and there, but pretty much my daily schedule is I wake up at 5, be to work by 7. So from 5 to 7, or 5 to 6:30, I'm at home.
Okay.
6:30, I'm off to work. So 7 o'clock, 7 to 3:30, I'm pretty much at Westminster. And then after Westminster, from 3:30 to sun goes down, I'm out and about doing estimates, preparing cement.
So that's like what, around 7, yeah?
I don't know, this summer they go pretty late.
Oh,
Yeah,
and that's the
like,
problem.
That's like 9.
8:30 or 9, yeah.
And that's the problem when it comes down to summertime, is even though it's long days, it's shorter sleep, it's shorter getting home and you're tired and that. But yeah, but like I said, you know, if it's something that I schedule that I need to, then I can move things around to where I'll exercise or do something Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday type, you know. And then I can squeeze all my other stuff on the other days.
Would you say so all of what you just described, is that pretty consistent from Monday to Friday?
Yeah.
That's pretty consistent. Okay.
And then on average, you say that you have to clean the Airbnbs. How many days out of the week you think would be the days or it's like how many days out of 7 days would you be cleaning those Airbnbs?
It depends, because like when they're coming in for 2 days, that's what I'm there like every 3 times a week. Okay. But if they're taking so it varies, but if they come for a whole week or 2 weeks, then I don't have to clean it, you know? It's just that one time. So lately it's been like 2 days for this group, 3 days for this group, so I have to flip it, and so it varies. 2
to 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's when you'd wake up a little bit early, like around 3, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And for the weekends, you say you work.
The weekends, it's pretty much, right now we have our ward conference for the stake. So I'm always, like Thursday night, I do visits with that ward from like 6 to 8. So, and then Sunday we have, depending on their ward time, but I'd say all day Sunday I'm booked, you know.
Okay.
Saturday we can probably work things out, but yes, Sunday's usually booked and Thursday evening for now.
And then,
Okay.
yeah, Sunday is just, you're just not home. It's not really physically demanding, but
Yeah,
it's just, you're just
yeah,
not home.
just meetings and visiting people, church.
So so Sundays, church,
Yeah.
meetings, so you're not so you're not necessarily out and about. Do you have do you take like lunch breaks? Do you take
Oh, yeah.
those sorts of things? Okay.
Actually, they feed you. That's part of the reason I want to lose some weight is that every Sunday is a good meal. You know?
That sounds nice.
That
Yeah.
sounds nice.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a full meal.
Yeah, well, we can definitely talk about food in a little bit, but this is actually really good because I'm already seeing while this is super packed, there's definitely area for
Yeah.
Yeah.
room for, because like you have this 3:30 to 8 p.m. that's essentially like doing estimates, running other errands, and I think we could look at putting something, maybe even if it's like 2 to 3 times a week
Yeah.
in that time domain where you can be like, okay, well, I'm going to do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
Yeah.
and so maybe on Tuesday and Tuesday and Thursday, maybe I shift some of my responsibilities that I have to do onto those days, so
Yeah.
I can take like 15 or 30 minutes.
You know what I was thinking?
Yeah.
So because it seems like, it seems like most of the time where you're actually just really stationary is at work from 7:30 to 3. Is there any time where you find yourself like, oh, maybe I could go for a little walk, or instead of taking the golf cart there, maybe I could just, use this time as my, little exercise to get to where I'm going. Do you feel like it'd be better, or you'd prefer it to be around the time where you're at work or at school instead of after work, or like what's your
Probably after work, for anytime from 3:30 to 8, as far as exercise, or
okay?
as far as activity, But I'm always doing stuff at work,
Yeah.
movement and that, so.
Yeah.
But as far as kind of like an outline, it'll probably be after 3:30 or 4.
Okay, cool.
3:30 to 8.
When you think about types of exercise, we talked a little bit about obviously your landscaping. You used to run. What other forms we talked about biking? It sounds like. Are there any other forms of exercise that sound appealing to you, or that you're interested in, or are those sort of right now you're like, oh, those are kind of the ones I'm good with.
Like weightlifting appeals to me.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I know that I need some I don't know, something that takes the running. And I mentioned I didn't like the biking, but I don't mind biking if it's like outdoor.
Yeah.
running.
Nice.
So anything that I can do outside and movement
Yeah.
and not just mobile one spot
Yeah.
is helpful.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I think, you mentioned your wrist and being a little worried about weightlifting with that, and that's actually totally okay, because we can definitely think about some modifications to
Yeah.
sort of account for that,
Yeah.
right? Like, I don't want to discourage you from that just because of this. Like,
Yeah.
this shouldn't be this doesn't have to limit you completely from weightlifting, especially when we think about giving you some sort of variety to your exercise plan, so
Yeah.
it's not just the same thing
Yeah.
all the time.
I think, and also when you look back at, or just look on your daily schedule, are there any things that you're willing to sacrifice? Because I know it's a hard question or hard thing to really think about, but while we're taking into consideration what we want to do to help you, we gotta know what you're willing to give up in order for us to know, okay, maybe we could cut down time here so we can add a little bit here for you to go through.
I think a lot of that is, like I mentioned, is just being more efficient with my estimates and things like that. So Those are things that I can move around, but I can do it on one day rather than, stretching it out, whether to move it to doing it like every day. Because I always set up my appointments to go right after work.
Yep.
And I can set it up to where it's just a couple of days a week rather than every day,
Yeah.
So things like that.
Yeah, it almost sounds like potentially adding some like exercise in that period after work would almost potentially create this motivation for you to be more efficient with those estimates and
Yeah.
sort of like, oh, well, if I know I have this X amount of time after work, I'm gonna need to make sure that I get these estimates done today so I can do that tomorrow,
Yeah.
I know, spread it out over those days, kind of like you said. So that's actually sort of a positive benefit of it right there, I think in and of itself.
And is there any days where you know for sure it's a non-negotiable where you can't do, where it has to be a rest day, or maybe this day is a little bit harder at work, so I need a little bit rest. Maybe Tuesdays, Thursdays,
Yeah, I think the only day for now, and that's gonna end in a couple of months, is the Thursday visits. But other than that,
Okay.
yeah, I'm pretty flexible.
Thursdays, and it sounds like Sundays are pretty booked
Thursday,
too.
Sunday, yeah.
Okay.
Those are, that's good.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, 2 of the days out of the week are the only times that you have pretty, things that you need to be at. So that's totally okay. Cool. Okay, this is really, really good. What, when you think about physical activity, and this is sort of, we're kind of this is going back a little bit, but when you think about physical activity, what is, and I want you to, when I ask you this, I want you to sort of don't think about what you've heard, like don't think about what other people think this is. Think about with what you think this is, just persevere yourself. So what is your definition of physical activity? So like when you hear exercise, physical activity, where does your head go? Like what is your definition of that?
My definition of physical activity or even exercising is like a serious half an hour of whether it's cardio or whether it's lifting weights. Whatever, when I did run, it was just like, you run, and it's more than half an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, I'm just trying to get half an hour first and then move on.
Sure.
But I think that's what I think physical activity and exercise is. It's a set program or set things that I like that when it's like a leg day or a run day. Or,
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's good. That's really good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's really good to know. So yeah, go ahead.
And since we're on the topic of physical activity, we also need to talk about something called sedentary behavior, and that's where you find time where you're just sitting and doing nothing. Maybe you're scrolling on your phone or you're watching a movie. It's any type of movement where you're in a stationary position, whether it be laying down, besides sleeping, laying down or sitting down. If you had to give a rough estimate on your average time where you're in sedentary behavior throughout the whole week in 7 days, or maybe throughout the day, how long in hours would you think that would be?
You know what I'm saying? I'd say probably about 2 hours.
2 hours a day.
Like my hour of break or hour of lunch, and then hour probably at home scrolling or just getting ready for bed. So I'd say about 2 a day.
And you ever heard the saying? You ever heard that people say, "Oh, because I worked out really hard for 2 hours, I'll be okay to give to lay down or watch, just relax for 2, 3, 4 hours." Have you ever heard that before?
No.
Well, the reason why I bring that up is because sometimes people get it confused where because they worked out for this long or they were up for this long, they could lay down for a little bit longer. And we just want you, really let you know that, it does not correlate at all. Mm-hmm. So it's really good to hear that you don't sit down really long compared to the time you're up and, perform physical activity, because it shows that, you know, your body's really used to it. So when we do add these little things,
Yeah, it's not gonna be a shock.
yeah, it won't be a shock
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Actually, when I do sit down, most likely I'm gonna fall asleep. You know?
yeah. No, that's great. I mean, 2 hours a day of being sedentary is honestly
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, even in college, because we just did a study on how long a college student usually performs sedentary behaviors in, and it's a long time. It's really long compared to some things that we thought were gonna be the answers, and we found out that we end up sitting more than we actually move, and that's based off because some people are studying more. So we
Yeah.
wanted to figure out if there's anything that we could do.
No, if I'm like sitting, I'm sleeping. So
Yeah.
I'm always moving
Yeah.
until I'm like ready to, like lunch, you gotta take your lunch,
Yeah.
and eat, but other than that, you're always out and about and things
Yeah.
like that.
Do you think? Yeah, you mentioned kind of whenever you do sit or whatever you got to take your lunch. Would you say you're somebody who looks forward to those breaks? Are you someone who's okay with taking breaks, or are you somebody who's like, I don't want to ever take a break. Like I gotta keep
Keep
going.
moving.
Yeah.
No, there have been times where I forget to eat or take a break. So
Okay.
it's not like I look forward to it, but we have to take, everybody goes on lunch,
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
All together. So we get lunch from 11:30 to 12:30,
Yeah.
and that's automatic. So every day is like that.
Yep.
So a lot of time us guys will grab a bite to eat, or
Yeah.
and then go to each of our truck. If you come to West Mineral out, just chill
Yeah,
until
hang
that.
out the truck. Yeah.
So you said 11:30 to 12:30.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like an hour.
Yeah. Put that in there.
And that's really good to hear because now we know maybe we might need a schedule sometimes where you have to take a break
Yeah.
because it might motivate you a little bit more to while you're in that time where you're resting, you're like, oh man, I need to get up, I gotta get moving. So that's really good to hear.
Yeah, I think in the summertime when I'm doing that, after work, it's easier to just keep working and
Yeah.
forget to eat or,
Yep.
then be like, oh man, I forgot to, And that's good because for me, 'cause I'm always like, man, I'm hungry, I need a snack.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so it can go both.
And with your, because we know for sure that fall and spring, we have students on campus all the time, and then sometime during summer. Does your work schedule change a little bit during the summer? Does your hours change that we have to kind of think about?
So everything is the same.
Okay.
As far as the time, we might be shoveling snow in the winter. So, but
Yeah.
Everything is just pretty much 7 to 3:30.
7 to 3:30.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. No, I think the breaks are going to be something I want to consider
Yeah.
too, because it's going to be especially important when we start to include some of the physical activity that you make sure you're recovering enough,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, while I think that you're already used to being up and moving so much, we also want to consider the fact that your body does need that time to recover. And it's also one of the reasons I think I'll push probably for that little bit earlier bedtime so you can get more sleep.
Yeah.
Because I really do think that'll make, like, that is another just like small adjustment that I think would really yield a lot of benefits. So, okay, we have a pretty good idea of your schedule here. You talked about walking, biking, weightlifting. So I want to talk a little bit about the biking. Do you have a bike that you could ride?
We have a bike.
You do?
Mhm.
Okay. That's great. So I think the biking outside, like going for a bike
Yeah.
ride, is something we would probably incorporate in there.
Of course.
And that'll be good. Like I said, if it's outlined for me, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
Nice.
Then I'm gonna try to my best
Yeah.
to stick to that, consistently.
Cool. If you were to say, like, what the amount of days per week, what is something you think you would feel comfortable with starting? Like if we said, oh, we're gonna have you go for a 30-minute bike ride
3 times
2 to 3 times a
Yeah.
week. Would you think like, oh, maybe that's a little too much, maybe that's not enough?
No,
What do you think?
actually, 30 minutes would be a good start.
Could be a good start,
'Cause,
okay,
Then I can build on that.
cool.
And then on how many times you could do throughout the week, what do you think is a comfortable number of days that you think you could really, always
I'm
achieve?
coming up to a busy time for work afterward.
Okay.
I'd say about twice a week would be good to start with.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah, because over time, we want to be able to, when we start your first week, it's
Yeah.
something feasible, We
Yeah.
don't want you to just throw you at the end of the fire and just hope that you get.
Yeah, and I hope, if it works out better to maybe more on one day and then, and I'm open to those suggestions.
Yeah, and so when I asked you about your definition of physical activity, you mentioned pretty specifically this 30-minute increment. Is that time domain the time domain you feel most comfortable in exercising, or do you feel okay with going less time than that, or maybe more time than that?
No,
or
I'll be okay with going more.
you'd be okay with
Yeah.
going more. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What about less?
I think 30 is probably a good
Okay, cool.
start.
Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
keep that in mind. Yeah, that's good to know, because some people have very specific like time domains that they like.
15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, other people are like,
10 minutes.
you got me for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's it. And other people are like, I want to do this for an hour.
Yeah.
Right. Like I want to do that. So that's really good. Okay. So what about, you also talked about weightlifting. Do you still have the membership to EOS?
No,
Okay.
actually, we just tried to cancel it a month ago, so.
Okay. Are you at all interested in incorporating weightlifting into the week? Or do you
Oh,
think
yeah.
maybe that's a little too much at the start?
I can incorporate, but if it's part of those 2 days or 3 days, I can do that.
Okay.
And then also another thing is, we know location, you're moving around a lot. So do you feel like going to the gym will be, even if we schedule it, will it be somewhere where, it's close by, I could go? Or is it kind of a stretch to get there with your busy schedule after work?
That's a good question. I think it'll be a stretch to get to the gym.
Yeah.
Because we have a gym at Westminster that I can use.
Okay.
But also, once I explain it to my wife, because we've been wanting to do something like this for a minute,
Yeah.
just haven't had the opportunity to, she's busy, I'm busy.
Yeah.
So she's trying to coordinate that, and this might be a way of, here's our time slot that
Okay,
can
yeah.
move us,
That's
Because the motivation of getting that membership was for us to go together, but
Okay.
it never worked out because we were always on different, wavelengths as far as her work and my work.
Yeah.
So,
This is actually really cool. I just wanted to touch on something really quick.
Yeah.
Is that you potentially doing this with your wife? Like
Oh,
that
yeah.
is
We
amazing.
we totally forgot to
Yeah,
we don't think about that.
Yeah, I don't want to just brush over that because like that. I mean, that is amazing so many ways. Not only because it sort of gives you a partner to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
So like if you're both going, it's sort of like maybe one day one of you is like, I'm not really feeling it, and they're like, all right, like come on, we can do
Got
this.
to.
Yeah.
Like we can do this together, right?
Yeah.
And it also it creates that motivation too, right? Like it's a really that makes like that doing it, having somebody else to do it with, makes it a little bit more comfortable. There's that motivation, accountability. So
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And if there was a way to incorporate that so that she could do it as well, I think that would be really good.
And
So yeah, go
Do
ahead.
you and your wife work? Are you guys you guys specific work area? I know you're at Westminster. Does your wife work close by to where she can come?
It'll probably be when she comes home. So it'll have to be anytime from that. I wouldn't say 3:30 because she doesn't get home till like 6. But not, like I said, it's a longer days.
Yeah.
And we're close to we have Jordan River
Mhm.
path right close to us that we can just bike,
Yeah.
So I mean, there are some convenient around us. We just haven't used it, haven't had the discipline to do it, you know.
Do you think that let's just, so sort of what I'm thinking about here right now is I'm thinking about starting with something like a 30-minute bike ride twice to like 2 times a week. And then possibly adding in 1 day of the weightlifting.
Oh yeah.
And that way that's like 3 days total, right?
Yeah.
It's not a ton to do all at once.
Yeah. And that weightlifting, you can do it on my lunch.
Oh yeah,
You know?
good. But we also have to make sure you're still eating. 'Cause
Yeah.
Even though you don't eat, we gotta make
But
sure.
it'll be half an hour. I can eat half an hour. You know, I can go to work out
Yep.
Good.
and then come back. I still have half an hour.
And do you think that doing it without your wife will kind of put you at a disadvantage, or you think that if you start doing it, then your wife will be more?
Yeah, because it's been waiting. Like, I need to see you do something. So, it'll probably be best that I start it on my own.
Okay.
And then once she sees that or hears that I'm doing it, she's like, oh yeah, maybe let's do it. You know.
I like that. So maybe we start with doing it on your lunch.
Yeah.
Maybe we start with that as just like so you can kind of maybe build some confidence and get comfortable doing that. I like his thing about making sure you're eating. Yeah, that's gonna be very important. Yeah. Okay. No, this is looking really good. I think.
Because building off the fact of making sure we get your sleep, get your sleep in order. It's a good thing to hear that you're willing to kind of sacrifice half of your lunch to do it, since we only need 30 minutes, and then that gives you more time to not think about it. Once you get it out the way, now you have everything else that you have to do after work, and then maybe your day could be a little bit shorter. You go home, and then you have longer time to rest.
Yeah.
So, that's a really good thing that we could, start thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as far as the sleep goes, I think it's really just about getting to bed a little earlier.
Yeah.
A lot of times we think about how like you can't, I mean, at least for me, I can't always control when I get up, but I can control when I go down. Like especially if you're somebody who's gotten up early for a long time, your circadian rhythm is sort of, your body is already sort of trained to do that. So your body's gonna it's gonna be 5 in the morning, and your body's like, oh, it's time to get up. That is gonna be a lot harder to kind of move. What's gonna be a lot easier to move is say it's it's like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and when you usually go to bed at 9, maybe you're like, I'm gonna try to go to bed at 8:30, or try to go to bed at 8. So I think that what we can do is we can sort of just give a couple of strategies or ideas to sort of help, just help that sort of process before bed shorten a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it could be good.
You mentioned that you have grandkids. Is it really? I bet it's important for you to kind of spend time with them when you get home. And is that something that you really, make sure that you do when you get home, and it kind of inhibits your sleep time, where you try to spend some time with them, so it takes a little bit longer to go to sleep?
Not really. As far as spending time with them, they come up to the room, so they live with us. So, but no, I'd rather probably spend with them when I can be awake. Not really tired. And say, hey man, I can't help you right now. So I think it just varies on that.
Okay, cool.
That's good.
Cool. Okay. What are some of the things you do before you go to bed usually? Like when you get home? Like obviously you probably have dinner. Do you like to watch TV? Do you guys like to play games or?
Probably I'm just on my phone scrolling and then go to bed.
Okay.
Yeah, I get home, shower, try to small talk with my wife, see how her days is, and then I'm out.
And then you're crashing out. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, the good thing about that is that you're not somebody who's spending a lot of time
Watching TV.
Spending
No,
1
I
or
don't
2
watch
hours
TV
watching
at
TV.
all.
Yeah.
Or even like Netflix, I have it here for my wife to watch, but it's not for me.
It's not for me. Yeah, okay. So maybe we could think about, like just incorporating maybe just a little bit, I don't want to, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to interrupt the time where you and your wife get to talk to each other about your days. I think that's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
But maybe limiting the time you scroll on your phone
Yeah.
before you go to bed, and,
Yeah.
and who knows, maybe you would even tell your wife, like, hey, like, I want to try to go to bed a little bit earlier, you know, try to get some more sleep. Like, maybe she'd want to do that with you,
Yeah.
or maybe, again, maybe it's like, nah, she's like, nah, maybe you can do it to start, and then I might see how it goes, and then
Yeah.
kind of join in later. So, I think that would be some good things to think about for sure.
Yeah. And what do you call it? It's just really good to hear that we're working, you know, you're kind of making our job way easier than it really is, because you're already really physically active, and all you ask us to is just kind of schedule things, you know, so where you could follow, and we could just add some things where you could be more physically active. And you know, before we end it off and everything, is there anything that you have questions for us? You know, we were asking a lot of questions, and I know there might have been some things that you had questions about, or you know, is there anything else that we didn't ask you?
Not really. I think I'm excited to see what adjustments and changes, and you know, see what you come up with, to see if it's something that will work better
Yeah.
than what I'm already doing, which it sounds like it will be. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. Yeah. Well, so basically, what we're gonna do now is, Ryan and I we'll sort of I took some notes down here. I have a lot of information here. We'll look at this information. Think about the things you told us about your schedule, what you're interested in, what you're not interested in, and then we're basically just gonna build you a schedule outline.
Yeah.
Probably for we would do it as like in like a week block, and we can sort of put in the times that you told us, and then put in, you could see where we would put in sort of our recommendations for what we think you could do. And then what's going to happen after that is that we'll make that, we'll create that, and then we'll show you that. So we'll kind of show it to you and be like, hey, here's what we came up with. How does this look to you? Would you like to make any changes? Like, does anything look concerning? Would you want to switch anything around? And then, you know, incorporate those changes from you, and then essentially that's it. And then you can essentially incorporate that into your week and see how it goes.
And we also want to let you know that, you know, we're all ears. Whatever we write, you know, this is meant for you, specifically for you. Yeah. So if we go throughout the week and you're like, you know, this is not really a good time for me to work out, or this is not a good time for me to do this or do that, and it's stopping me from doing my real work, you know, you could just let us know, because at the end of the day, we're trying to work for you. You know, this is not for you to stop going to work for, or stop seeing your family, or doing all your personal things that you do, you know, for yourself. Yeah. And that's why it's really important that, you know, even though we write it and we suggest, these are just suggestions. Yeah. And we want to make sure that it works around your schedule. It's specialized for you, and if you like it, because if you don't like it, you're probably not going to do it. Yeah. And we really want to know that, you know, throughout the week, I kind of like it at this time, or maybe this would be a better time to do this. You know, those are really, really important feedbacks that we really want to hear, so we can make the program and your schedule much more tailored to your, you know, to your liking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, I think the other thing too is, like, we would want to check in with you to see how it's going too. So whether that's just like checking in with Ryan, you know, and like Ryan might send you a text and just be like, hey, like, how's it going? You know, and that's again another opportunity to adjust if need be, right? Yeah. You know, you get a month down the road and you're like, man, you're like, I think this is like, I'm ready to do more. Or maybe it's like, hey, like, you know, my hip replacement's coming up. Like, give me some suggestions to like modify. Yeah. Right? Like that is also going to be super important. Yeah. And will be something we'll definitely incorporate into there. So. Yeah.
You know, just before we want to end, we just want to say thank you, Alpha, for you know, giving us your time and really helping us out, and we'll do our best to
No, I'm excited to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's always a matter of adjustment. If it doesn't work now, maybe a little tweaking here and there, and fine tune it. So yeah.
That's right. Cool.
Thank you.
All right.